it wasn't this like very Russian restaurant, I remember, right?
Where do you get dinner in New York for $20?
So we're like,
Oh, the agent sold you this like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he knew his stuff. He's been working for a long time. He knows how to sell apartments.
Hi everyone, it's July 16, 2023. We are recording my second podcast in Jersey City, and today I'm talking with Anton Tsitsulin. Anton works in Google, and I think just in general is a very interesting person. He's a dear friend of mine, and welcome to my podcast.
Hello. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you? How's your day?
Doing good. It is a rainy day outside.
It is a rainy day. Yeah. Did you go out before we met?
Yeah. Just went out to the park. It's absolutely awesome because it's such a heat wave over here past couple of days.
Nice. A nice walk under the rain. It's always a good idea. All right. So just tell our listeners a bit more about yourself. When did you come to the States?
Right. I've been to the States like a couple of times, I guess. Longer term, I was an intern twice at Google in, I think, like 2019 and 2020. In 2019, I was in the Silicon Valley in Sunnyvale. And in 2020, I went to New York in February, so like a couple of weeks. And then the COVID struck us. So I was kind of not experiencing any parts of New York whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a weird experience, but I was keen to go back. So now I'm living here since November last year.
Mm-hmm. And just a reminder, we're in Jersey, but we're still saying New York.
Right. Everyone says that, right?
Everyone says that. We also have the right to say so. Right. And originally you're from Moscow?
Moscow, Russia. Yeah.
Cool. I'm 27. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28?
Yeah.
I think you did tell me previously that you were 29 now.
I don't think
Why would you try to be old?
I guess it's not the time.
Yeah. Well, tell us a bit more about your experience in the States and Google. So, do you like living here?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the cities that I've been considering, and it was one of the cities in the world that I think it makes sense to move to. It's a large city with a very diverse set of people, so you can always talk to different people and not get bored at all. And then in contrast to what people say, it's mildly affordable, so you can imagine buying property here, later on in your life. And that's definitely not the case somewhere in Canada, for instance. And then the third thing is that you can assimilate as an expat, live a normal life, and no one bats an eye about that. That's kind of a big thing in Europe, right? So you can live in Europe for half of your life, but you will never be a true German. You will never feel yourself at home that much.
Yeah.
Here it's kind of day one you're already in.
And you're speaking really from your personal experience because you did your PhD in Germany, right?
Right. I did my PhD in Germany in 2016 to 21, early 21, in Berlin, and then moved to Bonn. So two capitals, one ex-capital, but they're really incomparable in terms of life there.
Probably New York City is the best bet if you're an immigrant. I've never lived for a long time in Europe, but I've heard from other people as well that it's much harder to feel it at home at different places. And New York does offer this comfort. It's not welcoming. I wouldn't say that New York is welcoming, right? You're laughing because this is just not true, I guess. But it's people don't mind you here.
Yeah, I mean, they don't mind anyone. You can just get lost in the city. Sure.
That's the way. And apart from your PhD in Germany, you also studied in Russia before, right?
Yeah, I did my bachelor's and master's in Russia.
What was that?
It was a long time ago. ago, in 2010, I did like a bachelor's in what is today like management. It was called like business informatics, but it was mostly like kind of IT business-ish systems, so on and so forth. That was kind of boring, so I switched to more like data mining, machine learning for my master's at Caltech.
And you stayed in this field. You do data science and machine learning mostly.
Yeah, I mean, like I do research in machine learning and data science, right?
Yes, you're a researcher. That's true. Correct me if I'm saying something wrong, but this is awesome. And you recently started your Telegram group, right? It's if somebody doesn't know that, it's a very popular social media, somewhat a WhatsApp app, but with channel functionality. So people post there, people have their blogs there. So you recently started this page and you're already getting traction. You have 1,400 followers in just under a month, I guess, that you exist.
Well, I mean, it's been a couple of months.
Yeah. I've seen you've had it for a long time, but you just started posting actively. You even posted something just before we were about to meet. So tell me a bit more about what you're posting there, because I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like being a researcher, you're kind of like really focused in one thing, and it's good. You learn a lot of like weird, interesting things around your field, but you never got to use them. So I was kind of thinking that it may be a good idea to put this kind of random bits of knowledge for other people to appreciate.
And what's the name of your channel?
It's called Epsilon Correct, for like being, because like being almost always correct is much better and much easier than being like perfectly correct all the time, right?
What do you mean by better? Like,
yeah, it's much easier to do. Like, also theoretically speaking, for instance, like if I give you a coin that is like 51% correct, then you can construct like a really simple way to make that coin arbitrarily correct by just flipping it multiple times and taking the majority vote of that coin.
That's really cool. And recently, just one of your recent posts, I really loved that. That was a secretary problem. Can you describe that?
Yeah, I mean, secretary problem is like a really old problem from theoretical computer science, but also like it's kind of really easily applicable to your daily life, right? That's why people love that. And it's kind of an online decision problem. So in the classic formulation, it's a secretary problem, you want to pick a secretary, right? And secretaries come one by one, so you're interviewing them one by one, and after each interview, you got to decide whether you are happy with that secretary or you're rejecting them. And there is one secretary in the stream that is the best, that comes at unknown time. So what is your strategy of finding that a single perfect candidate?
Well, now I know the answer. Let's give people 2 seconds to guess and then give the correct answer.
Right. So the correct answer is related to the Euler's constant. So it's 1 divided by E. So that's approximately, I think, 0.58. I think so. I might be wrong. You wait for a certain time, and then you collect the best candidate that you've seen previously in that time. And then after that given time, you just pick the best candidate that was better than the one you've seen before.
And just one minor thing, in your channel, you didn't post it as a secretary problem per se, but you applied it for dating, which I think made it much more applicable. And I saw a lot of reactions and like thumbs up.
Right. I mean, like, I don't think that was me that applied it to dating. It's like a really common thing if you see like in a lot of pop science books and so on. It's important to understand though that in the real life, in real conditions, and we can make this problem like more realistic, the answer changes dramatically and your optimal behavior changes like really dramatically based on the different kind of problem variations that you introduce. So I'm not sure that, universally recommending this like wait 1/3 of your time or like wait 1/3 of your candidates and then pick the best one is actually like really good in real life, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like you optimize until you optimize too much.
Right. I mean, like, you know, the most unrealistic thing about this problem is that you're searching for the best candidate in your stream, which, you know, apply to dating or like apply to a lot of other problems is not necessarily what you want to do. Like in real life scenarios, you're typically okay with the first best, second best, third best, you know, and then modifying the problem to be kind of like that really reduces the time that you need to search like really dramatically.
That's true. And how do you then calculate the time and optimize your efficiency? I think I'm also like thinking from a recruiter perspective that answers the question, how much time, how many candidates to interview for a job posting.
Right.
That's cool. Just can you tell me a bit more about your day structure, right? Your daily routine, because I also have seen you posting about different activities that you do throughout the day at work. But let's look at it more holistically. What does a day look like of a person like you? You've achieved your PhD, you work at Google, you're very interesting, you have this channel, you know, you do things, you can sometimes have time to hang out with me, you know. So how do you achieve all of that, right? Let's look at your day first.
Sure. I mean, like, I don't think it's any interesting to be honest. Like, I have this weird ability of waking up at 7 a.m. daily.
Nice.
Just, you know, it doesn't really matter when I go to sleep. So like, that's just a natural thing for me. Yeah, and then after that, I probably do some small chores that I need to do throughout, you know, every single day, and I go to work. So I try to go to work every day just because it really gives me a peace of mind, you know, in terms of work from home, like work-life balance, this sort of stuff.
So you have an opportunity to work from home, but you choose to go to office from Jersey City to Manhattan,
right,
by path
every day. Yeah,
every day. Which is good, right? Like, do you take this one to like 14th Street or?
Yeah, 14th Street.
Yeah.
Or Christopher Street if I want to walk a bit longer.
Yeah, which you might like in the morning, right?
Yeah, right.
To get in the right state of mind.
Exactly. But
and we were talking about your spending on food, and that was really low, right? Because
right. I mean, Google provides lunches and kind of does provide dinner, but I don't really enjoy dinners there so much. Plus, I mean, like, I do enjoy food. That's part of the reason of, you know, people liking New York, because the food here is so good, right? And then I kind of go out and grab a thing or two from some local spots.
Right.
Quite often.
Plus, you don't want to be a slave there, right? You don't. You don't want to spend all of your time just because they provide food.
Right. It's kind of a weak motivation because like a dinner is like, okay, $20, so per 20 work days per month, that's like 400.
Where do you get dinner in New York for $20?
I mean, you can do it cheaper, but like across, like, Google is around Chelsea, right? And Chelsea Market is a spot right around. So I often just go to Xi'an Famous Foods or Very Fresh Noodles for these hand-ripped noodles kind of thing.
Yeah.
And these are easily under $20.
By the way, there is another Xi'an food in Upper East Side where I live, and I love this place. Yeah, it's really good, and one of the most affordable ones in Upper East Side. So, thank you guys for existing.
Yeah, I mean, funny thing is that they're not really Chinese, right? So they're like descendants of this Chinese guy who came to the US, and then his son was like, I like the food you're cooking, but you're cooking it with rice. So I'm going to do the noodles I like, and I'm going to do the spices I like, and combine them. And now they're quite kind of famous for this style of noodles.
Oh, that's cool. Well, that's why we're doing this podcast, because I really believe that you're one of these people who knows a little bit or a lot about everything. Literally, this just blows my mind. And I also know that you like different teas, right? So,
well, I mean, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I just try different things, and I'm definitely not a coffee person because I don't really believe in like daily stimulators. It just sounds like a bad idea to your health.
Let's go a bit deeper into that, but we will not forget your daily routine, right? Let's finish with the daily routine, and then let's go to substances.
All right. Yeah, this is a PG-13. Right. I mean, like routine-wise, it takes 35 minutes to get to work. Where, yeah, I do work, I guess, most of the time, right?
Let's go quickly through your work day, right? You optimized your time.
I mean, I didn't really optimize my time as much. It's just that
I'm just overusing the word optimize today. So, but you worked around your schedule a bit. So
yeah, right. I mean, like if you don't do that, I think like at any large tech company, your calendar becomes a mess. You don't really have any time to focus and do actual work.
Too many calls.
Yeah, too many meetings.
It's not like that you can avoid them or they're not productive. You need them. It's just basically, I think it's just not provisioned for both quiet time work and for interaction. It's like you have to achieve too much in this given time frame. That's my feeling. So tell me a bit more about like how you broke it down.
I think like I try to dedicate like focus days, Mondays and Fridays, because it's like more standard across the company to not have meetings there. Then and then I've also kind of tried to free up some of my time on like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays evenings, maybe like 2, 3, 4 hours. So 4 hours is like half of the workday, right? So that's kind of good enough. And apparently, like I don't have enough meetings to fill the rest of the day, so I usually have some free time around then too. But I try to do kind of, more simple, like bureaucratic, stupid things in the mornings, or like the time that is broken between the meetings, and more like focused, uninterrupted work towards the end.
So most of the time you do research at work, and also you talk to your clients, which are internal teams, and basically for whom you do this research.
So yeah, the work like goes into 2 pillars basically, right? One is just basic research, whatever we think is a good idea. The other thing is kind of like internal work, helping Google earn some money. Apply the research. It's not just about earning money for the company. I think it's also about kind of proving your thing works. I have this with one paper that was rejected like over and over and over and again academically from different conferences and journals. But like applied at Google, it actually works and like brings money, hopefully. So
yeah, that's really cool. And do you think that speaks about kind of academia not catching up with the real world, or it's good that they rejected your paper just because like the goal is different, or another reason?
Well, I mean, I think it's just random about accepting and rejecting. There is like definitely a thing in randomness there. There were definitely reasons for rejecting a paper a couple of times, but it still like speaks about like different kind of structure, like reward structure in academia versus industry, right? Because in academia, you have to get your papers accepted, you have to get your work published, have to talk about it, advertise it. In industry, it's not so much, right? You just need to earn some money for the company.
That's true. If you can make some money for Google, I guess they will accept that.
Yeah, they're kind of fine.
All right, good. So did you speak about 2 pillars? Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah,
about
I
the
mean,
2
like
pillars.
pillar 1, research, writing papers. Pillar 2 is client work, which means like horizontally, like different teams at Google come to us, or we come to them and say, hey, you have a problem that probably involves something from the research. So let's try to work on that and make this better.
Let's give an example of kind of problems that you're solving.
Yeah, sure. I work kind of a lot in unsupervised graph representation learning. So like my work is basically transforming, like given a graph is a kind of connected entities. We want to create representations of these entities that are amenable for common machine learning algorithms. And normally it's just like, if you just have connected entities, it doesn't really work that well. with machine learning, but we're providing tools to do that.
Mm-hmm. And for those who have never like seen any graph in their life, so as far as I know, that would be similar to this maps of the flights, right? And when they're like very busy active airports, like this node gets big, right? And if it's like this boring place somewhere in the middle of nowhere, then it's like dark and like not
Sure.
no crosses, you know.
Yeah, no connection.
Yeah. So this is basically that what the information looks like, right? And that's what graph is.
Yeah, and we transform that information to something like more actionable than just things connected to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, I like to think it's cool too.
I just don't know what else to say. Unfortunately, I'm not knowledgeable in this. Probably I shouldn't have said that. But anyways, so you had your day like at Google office. You had your lunch at Chelsea Market.
Well, I mean, lunches at Google.
Lunch at Google, right? But
dinners,
maybe you had some gelato affogato or something there. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we have some ice cream at Google as well. So
right. That's fine. Well, I'm just trying to find an excuse to get out of the building, right?
Yeah.
So afterwards, you finish your day, you go back, or you meet someone.
Yeah, I mean, I think like one benefit of actually going to the office is that you can meet people that are living not in Jersey City, after work. So that's what I sometimes do, like 2-3 times a week, just getting out and meeting some friends or acquaintances around the city.
Right.
Going to the restaurants as well. Meetups, yeah.
Right, we do that. We also in a very active Russian tech community, right, or maybe Russian speaking tech community. So that's how we met. I organized a Friendsgiving celebration. There were like 20 people, which was fun. You were one of them.
Yeah. It wasn't this like very Russian restaurant, I remember, right?
that was called Russian Tea House or Russian Samovar, which is like this ancient Russian teapot. Should probably put, if I edit this video, like a picture of what it looks like. You can like even put like a boot. Maybe I think that's a cultural exaggeration. But when I worked at the boot camp, like software development boot camp, I sent them this photo of samovar with a boot on top of it, and they were like, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, "At boot camps, we drink boot tea."
Yeah, definitely.
They said it was fun, but also Americans are very nice, so people would support my jokes anyways. Right? So you hang out, or you maybe feel tired, you go back home, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all do that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then, watching TV, reading books, preparing for the next day, all that jazz.
All right. You told me that you like watched all of your TV series, TV shows.
Right.
We'll not go into that much. Like first, I'm not watching them. Second, everybody does. So let's rather like let's play smart cookies. What are you reading?
Sure. Yeah, I've been reading like I mean, I have to read like some technical stuff for work as well. I mean, it's a bit weird, but I just feel it's weird to read during the day, right? It's more like an evening activity. So even though it's for work, I still do that in the evenings. So like a couple of technical books.
Give us the example.
Yeah, I typically read like wide. So some like reviews on theoretical computer science is like what I would typically just scroll through and randomly read a bunch of papers.
Throw in some headlines, for example.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I've been going through Shannon's textbook on concentration and quality states. I think it's called like something on probability. High-dimensional probability is called, right? It's a high-dimensional probability. It's like when you're designing this kind of machine learning algorithm or like dimensionality reduction algorithms. These kind of subroutines come very helpful, and it's good to kind of have a glimpse around what's happening there. And the book is like very modern, so it covers a lot of really, really recent research.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe sometimes something more for fun, for relaxation,
sure.
about calligraphy.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I was actually writing about the book, right, on typography. So yeah, that just kind of interests me naturally, because a lot of science is writing papers, so the papers should look good, or at least you want them to look good. And what does like good typography look like? I mean, like in scientific writing, it's typically pretty terrible because you have to follow the standard of your conference or journal.
But somebody sets the standard,
right?
Right.
Somebody says the standard. Somebody set the standard in like, year 80, like 1870 something, and they have been just perpetuating the same thing since then. But I'm exaggerating, but typically it's not that great.
So you have identified like some areas where the standards can be potentially improved, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, sure. I don't think that it's like such a big deal to improve them. The main thing is still content, right? But still, it's much nicer to be more accessible to people and know like how to highlight text in a way that is not intrusive and doesn't distract people too much, for instance.
I love these books when you sort of like don't expect there is a book about it in a way, or you don't necessarily think about reading this book. For example, like this one, I think it's a great example. Another one, there is a book, I don't remember the name, but maybe I'll put it here if I'm editing this. So there is a book about how parks have a positive impact on our thinking. So, for example, these French parks, that's the opposite. The English parks, which are kind of irregular and irrational, they go, how to say, spiral, viral on purpose, because this is how your thought process works. So it helps you to think.
Right.
That's why Kant, for example, used to go to one same park all the time, but that was part of his daily routine to go to the park and think. So, and someone decided to write a book about it. I think that's fascinating. Would you ever consider writing a book about how parks have an
I don't
impact
think
on
so.
our thinking,
I mean, like,
right?
I don't think it's really hard to like predict what's actually interesting and what's not, right? So you have to be kind of knowledgeable about a lot of little things too.
Right. That's cool. And I replaced typography for calligraphy, right? Because there is this woman that I told you about. So she works for the Australian government, and she's like I've tried to find her, but for some reason I didn't come across any article or anything. She's like a chief government calligrapher or something. So there is a museum, some sort of government museum, where they displayed an apology letter to native people of Australia. And so she hand wrote it, and she was selected for this process, like someone decided to display it in the museum. There is this title, right, this position. I think this is great. And when I was searching for it, I didn't find the Australian example, but there is something similar in the US as well. And now I'm curious, how many countries have this? Is this kind of the English-speaking type of thing, or I don't know, what's the dynamics like?
Yeah, I guess it's countries that frequently write apology letters.
And then they hire someone to do this,
right? I mean,
in nice handwriting. Yeah. I think that's the chief apologist. That's nice, right? Anyway, so this is your day. You read. Any meditation, workout.
No, I mean, like, no, not really for meditation. The workout, I try to do body weight, just some exercises at home, because it's just faster, and yeah, not the most sporty person around. I hope you do have someone more sporty than me. Some next time to talk about that.
All right. I'll promise to find someone sporty, but you have to have like a small gap somewhere, okay? If you were like, I do this and that, on top of this I'm sporty, like that would be just too much, okay?
Right,
so
right.
that's okay. And speaking of your home, I think there is this very nice feature that I can't resist highlighting. So, which I would never guess this, right? So you told me that if I go to your bathroom and I don't close the door, I could see the Statue of Liberty while like sitting on the toilet.
Right.
Well, the reflection of it, like in the window, but still, it's like the best reflection you could get on Earth. Maybe like some people, like I don't know, go poop and they see the Eiffel Tower. That was your discovery.
That wasn't my discovery. That was my agent's discovery, right? So we're like,
the agent sold you this like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he knew his stuff. He's been working for a long time. He knows how to sell apartments.
This is a good point, right? You don't want to hide this from potential clients.
Right. I mean, it's kind of awesome in a sense that it is a great view, not just on the Statue of Liberty, and you don't have to be in the toilet to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. So you're this kind of person who really treats, how to say, you pay attention to details. Like you research things for your daily life as well. Like you find a lot of information, and I think this is actually very important because I don't think it's just you. It's a lot of people who are very successful in their study careers, and people who tend to achieve things. They just tend to put a lot of effort into things. So you have, it's like you've researched like all different sofas that you can find in New York City. You have like different particular teas, right? You have this dehydration machine for
but that's just a hobby, right? I mean, like I think like people that are actually successful just pay attention to the things that they need to pay attention to, and not like me paying attention to a lot of different things.
I think that it works, both ways. Like you can have like your life in absolute wreck, but you can do your stuff very well and be very organized there, and that works perfectly well. But I think you're just, you're consistent in your personal life, in your work life, in terms of just don't put your eyebrows so high when I'm saying this. It's like I'm just saying what I observe. This is what makes you stand out from a lot of people. Just it can get noticed. How to say? I noticed that, right? So speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, all right. I guess I do tend to enjoy the research about things. Like not just research,
mm-hmm.
as in scientific research, but also just thinking about sofas and like nowadays they do make sofas in kind of different way that they use them to
mm-hmm.
make them, and they're like less durable because of that. So I just find it enjoyable to like go around and shop for a proper sofa,
right?
That brings, I don't know, like joy, mild joy.
It's extremely comfortable, I must say. I had the pleasure of sitting in it once. It was awesome.
I mean, okay, shout out to the company that didn't sponsor this podcast.
So we will not next time. So
yeah, if you're a sofa developer, I guess.
If you're a sofa seller, reach out to us and
sure.
We'll make it work. But not this time. It's hell of a sofa. That was really awesome to sit in it.
Right. I mean, like other things, I don't know. Like it's just fun. You know, like you want to, not get annoyed in your daily life by little things, and it's important to kind of have your mental focus on the important things. So like I don't really want to come and sit on like spiky couch or something like this, or the couch is like randomly gets destroyed 5 months in. That's just not the type of issue I'm really used to, or like I can process mentally. So like it would take me a lot of time to like actually rethink the decisions, or like I'll spend kind of too much time thinking about that. So it's much easier to like allocate some time before that and just pick the thing that I will enjoy, like without actually giving a second thought about that.
Right, minimizing friction, maximizing comfort.
Sure,
that works.
Yeah.
That's an approach. That's what a lot of people, I keep saying successful people, but this is like this. People try to save their mental capacity for things that matter for them. And
yeah, I mean, there are different approaches of doing that, right? So like you can like not care about anything, and you're like it's kind of looks like I guess a stereotypical like researcher in shoes with some holes, with a like saggy t-shirt and so on and so forth. Or you can have like a different approach, because I still enjoy these aspects of life, like I enjoy like good food and stuff like this. But if you can save some time or like mental resources by like researching, let's say, and pre-selecting restaurants for yourself, it just makes your life much easier, because you have like the whole list everywhere in Manhattan you want to go to.
You're leading exactly where I want to go. There's restaurant app. I don't know. Should we say this time? Also not placing.
No, I mean,
gosh, we're doing no product placement. So there is this app which is like okay guys, we removed the branding from the water bottles.
Right. Yeah. Nadia made us do that. Zero,
because I thought it was too much, into your eyes.
Sure.
So there is this app, and there's like this curated list of 200 restaurants where rich people want to go. Or I'm mixing sites. Like
I think you're mixing.
Yeah, there is another site where like 200 restaurants in New York City where still not 200.
Still not 200.
Oh gosh. Okay, so where rich people want to go in New York City. And there is another app where it's just busy restaurants where they have a bot that buys spots, and you can go to this nice places. I'm still not
sure. I mean, I can read.
You do it.
I mean, like, sure. So there are a lot of like nicer restaurants, or like want to go to restaurants, or people go to these restaurants because they want to prove some point about themselves. Yeah, so there are like many different types of restaurants in New York, more desired, less desired. And we have this really bad reservation system called Resi that just doesn't do any kind of moderation or any kind of like protection against bots. So people just write that and they scrape the whole thing, and restaurants and try to resell the reservations on sites like Appointment Tracker or something like this, or Appointment Trader.
Appointment Trader.
Yeah.
What a weird name for a restaurant booking site. Or it's like reselling like doctor appointments as well?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I may be mixing up. So, no advertising given.
No advertising given.
Never buy like reservations.
We also misadvertise, right? Anti-advertise here.
Like bad advertisement is still advertisement.
You just did it with Resi.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but you cannot escape Resi. Living in New York, right?
Right. It's like MTA.
Yeah,
We're not
so
like
ubiquitous.
Promoting MTA. It's just
I mean, okay, let's
our
not
favorite
MTA
subway system in the world.
Yeah, the subway system in Moscow is so much better, right?
We have to, like, we are from Moscow. We have
to
say
like,
this
it's
about
objectively
subway.
much better, right? It has Wi-Fi. Trains come like every 30 seconds in prime time. So
people here say in Europe. Well, not in Europe. Like in Moscow. Like when we talk about subway, it's in Moscow. Anyways,
I heard some Chinese subway systems are also quite great.
Dubai subway is awesome. Dubai and Mexico.
Awesome.
No, I loved it. It's super clean, nice.
I mean, I guess it
good
is
temperature.
Super clean.
Not
sure. I mean, like and
here
it's air
like
conditioned,
so cold.
but like it's only like 2-3 lines across Dubai. It doesn't come so often.
That's true.
And
I meant just like the comfort. Like the comfort was good.
Sure,
the system was not very much covering the city. But two fun facts really quickly, and we'll go back to the restaurants, and then we'll go back to to substances,
All right.
because you just mentioned it very quickly, and I think because people talk about it, we have to talk about it as well, and not just because of that. Anyways, there are two cities. What's that? Two cities in the world, maybe more, but Mexico City and Dubai, where they have separate cars for women. You don't have to go there. It's just men are not allowed there. And I've been to both cities. It's freaking the best experience I've had in terms of like public transport. You can go there with kids. I've seen men being gently asked to leave if someone accidentally entered this car. I'm not sure like how the whole experience was, but I like it. And I talked with other women in Mexico City. They also love it.
Yeah, sure.
Russian subway, Moscow subway, please learn from them. That's one more important thing. But anyways, treat women well, and we don't have to come up with solutions.
Yeah.
Let's go back to restaurants.
Right. Restaurants. I mean, like, there are some desirable restaurants. I wouldn't say they're the best, but still, some people would. I mean, it's natural that if they're overbooked, then people want to go there, so they're desirable. So I don't know. You can kind of get a spot quicker in the queue with the appointment, like with reservation finding apps. That's kind of the whole point.
Okay. So you're trying not to, finally we're stepping back to substances. You're trying not to overstimulate yourself. No coffee.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, I talk with a lot of people, and some of them are like, okay, we've been studying, like bachelor's masters on caffeine, and now it doesn't work so well on me. So I'm not sure like what system burns out, like your caffeine receptors burn out, or like your stimulants, like it's harder to stimulate you or something like this, but it just doesn't sound fun.
So your resistance to caffeine, I don't know how to pronounce this word, grows over time, right?
Yeah,
as with anything, probably.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And it's much, like it's more productive if I can drink a cup of coffee when I actually need it, but I just don't drink it mindlessly every day. That's kind of the approach.
When I moved here, I don't drink coffee, gives me jitters, but I also started drinking this almond milk decaf latte. I feel very awkward ordering this, and I usually joke with barista something like, this is like the opposite of normal coffee, right? And they're like, haha, but yeah, that's okay. $7. We don't mind. Right.
It's kind of like, coffee is kind of a Caesar salad. There is no actual one ingredient that makes it coffee. So
what did you compare it with? Caesar salad?
Caesar salad, right. So you can have coffee without caffeine, without actual coffee. You can have it without milk, with water, without water. I guess that's the only actual ingredient that stays the same across the thing.
I wonder if someone will have like a strong opinion both about Caesar salad and what coffee should be like.
The Caesar salad is the same in the sense that there is no like particular salad type that goes into that. So, and no actual ingredient stays the same.
Fun fact, black tea has more caffeine than green tea. But I think just as Russians, we grew tolerant to black tea.
Right. I mean, I don't drink that much tea in the morning either. So that's more just
just cultural reference. Russians drink tea. It's like you want to have a conversation. You want to bring candies and tea and sit down and make the information flow. It's not vodka, just FYI.
I mean, works with vodka as well.
Right. I'm just trying to bring another perspective about our culture.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And what are some projects you're working on, or maybe some highlight events you're looking forward to?
Yeah, it's actually, thank you for asking. Like we have two conferences. Like one is the ICML, International Conference on Machine Learning, kind of one of three largest ones on machine learning, academically speaking. We present there like a tutorial, a workshop paper.
We or you?
Well, I mean, tutorial is co-presented by like 3 people because it's like a 3-hour thing. I cannot really talk for so long. The workshop paper is presented by me. I think so.
Is it in Hawaii?
Yeah, it is in Hawaii. So that's kind of
Hawaii,
awesome. It's a long flight though, so there are some ups and downs because
How
like,
long is the flight?
the flight is like 11 hours.
What?
Yeah, from New York.
Wow, that's further than going to Europe.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of mind blowing. But it's also
I just like being here. You have this perspective as if it's like 6, maybe 7 hours because it's further
right,
than
it's kind
LA.
of the same with Russia, right? So like it's one country, but then it's like 3 weeks by train to go from Vladivostok to St. Petersburg.
It's a bit shorter. I took Trans-Siberian once from Moscow to Blagoveshchensk, which is on the border between China and Russia. It took me 6 days.
All right.
It was fun. People
Sure.
always ask like, how did you eat there and slept there? So sleeping cars, and they provided food 3 times per day.
All right, that's still quite a trip, though.
Yeah, no train to Hawaii, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, no trains to Hawaii for sure. I mean, yeah, no submarines
Anyways,
as well.
good luck there.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. That was fun talking to you.
I think it was a pleasure talking with you too.
Yeah, as always. It was Anton Tsitsulin with Nadia Kugrashova. My second time recording a podcast. Stay tuned.